There's 12 spending bills that make up the entire federal budget. The House passed 7 of those bills. The Senate passed 0 of those bills. They basically threw up their hands in the summer and said they weren't going forward and dealing with this issue, and we're going to wait until this lame duck, and they really have waited until the very last possible minute.
No one really wants to see the federal government shut down again, especially as we're here on the holiday doorstep. And some reports say there's nothing to fear because the new budget plan is something for everyone. Then why do we hear and see reports about Democrats preparing to play Scrooge and make Republicans look bad again? And now we hear even Republicans are backing out. Let's get to it. She is the former Director of Marketing and Communication for the state of Georgia and former award-winning broadcast journalist. Now at the helm of Lepore & Associates communications firm, Loretta Lepore joins us today. Loretta, thanks so much for being here.
Hi, thank you for having me.
We do want to point out to you as well that we are standing by and waiting because the head of the CIA, John Brennan, is expecting to make a somewhat historic press conference here in a short time where they've actually invited people into Langley, Virginia to ask questions of the CIA director. I've never heard of anything like that. I'm sure that you haven't either. So we're waiting to get to that. So as we wait on that, let's then dig into the budget. We're now hearing that there is a little bit of an insurrection, if you will, here, because the House nearly killed the omnibus bill here, or cromnibus, if you will, on a procedural vote. What's happening here? It seems as if the Republicans even are coming apart on this.
Well, it's high drama, no question about that, and everybody's digging in. These bills tend to become what is referred to as Christmas trees, as we all know, as it gets closer to the vote. Republicans, the most conservatives of the Republicans, and want the bill to go for the appropriations to go further in limiting President Obama and the immigration reform actions that he's taken, and the Democrats, quite candidly, are at one of the provisions around Dodd-Frank. So it's not unexpected to see this kind of high drama. We've seen this in years past. The fact of the matter is that both sides need to come together and pass this bill, or pass this appropriations bill.
All right, now stand by a moment, Loretta. Let's also introduce the former Deputy Staff Secretary to President Bill Clinton, co-host of The Left Jab on Sirius XM, and chairman of the Sports Fans Coalition, which means he's always up for a good game of verbal banter. David Goodfriend joins us on the phone. Hey, David, we're talking about the bill here, and again, we're waiting for John Brennan at the CIA to hold his press conference. But while we're talking about this here, we're hearing that there's almost been a little bit of a crack in the Republican facade here getting to this bill. Apparently, 214 members voted for it on the procedural side. That's less than the majority of members in the House. I'm looking at a number of Republicans who now basically said, no, we're not going to do this right now. I would almost imagine that as a Democrat, you got to be pretty happy to see some discourse going on the right.
Well, obviously, I think we all want the government to be funded eventually and for things to work out. But what I think about in the context of today's vote is that in prior budget votes where Majority Leader Boehner needed to get a majority of House members, he really had to rely on Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats to get him over that threshold. People don't talk about it very much, but there were plenty of Tea Party Republicans who in the past have voted against continuing resolutions, have voted against things that Majority Leader Boehner wanted, and it was Democrats that were willing to add their votes to the yes column that got it over the goal line. This time around, it seems to me as though what you have is you still have those Tea Party Republicans who don't want to vote yes. That has not changed. The difference this time around is there are enough Democrats who say, I don't want to vote for it either, that you fail to get the coalition that it was assembled in prior votes to get this thing across the goal line. And frankly, I don't think that's bad. Obviously, I don't want a government shutdown, but I don't think it's a bad thing for the rank and file in both parties to have their walkaway. There's enough non-funding, just straight up legislating going on in this bill that it's asking a little bit much of Tea Party Republicans and of progressive Democrats to just hold their nose and vote yes. Frankly, if you want to get to yes, just make it a straight up funding bill. No additional changes to law. That's the way appropriations are supposed to work anyway. And I think it should just be a straight up fill in the dollar amount bill. It's not about policy. It's just about funding. That would get you there.
All right, now I'm going to ask you to hang tight, David, because we're coming up on a break right here. You've had your say. Loretta, you've had yours. We're going to come back. We're going to dig into this a little bit more. So the left and right return with both of our guests. However, we do want to point out once again that the CIA Director John Brennan is apparently preparing to hold a press conference at CIA headquarters in Langley, Virginia, to answer back on the what some would consider very biased CIA torture report that came out this week. It is historic simply because, to any of our knowledges, there's never been a press conference held at CIA headquarters in Langley, Virginia before. We'll bring it to you live. We'll watch that and so much more as we continue right here on the Thursday edition of MidPoint.